I've been trying to record a Harry Potter video in my sweet Slytherin jacket that my buddy got me, and he got me Slytherin's locket, and it actually opens and shit, and it's awesome. But I've been trying to make you guys a video for a very long time, and if you're on my social media, you'll know that we randomly got a 3-month-old bull mastiff puppy who's fucking gigantic and is disrupting my life. Love him, he's adorable, he's right there, but he's fucking huge. It's like having a goddamn horse in the house. Anyway, let's talk about Harry Potter because I haven't in a while. I think the last video I made about it was about the HBO series that was coming out, but now we finally got a title for the next Fantastic Beasts movie. So if you didn't know that the new title is The Secrets of Dumbledore, now you know. It's called The Secrets of Dumbledore. I've complained about too much Dumbledore already. I don't mind it in the Fantastic Beasts series because we've already started with that, but all I was saying in that video was how I don't want the HBO series to be about more Dumbledore shit, unless it's going to be about Aberforth, because Aberforth is one of my, I don't know why I like Aberforth so much. I don't know if it's because I'm a younger sibling, but I fucking like Aberforth. He's an awesome character, and he's not really talked about much. Either way, obviously, this is going to be about Dumbledore. This series has taken some turns. I know a lot of people give it flack and give it a lot of shit, and I understand why, technically speaking, from a movie aspect. But whatever you think about J.K. Rowling, that aside, because I'm going to keep my personal feelings to myself, but I do love the Harry Potter series. I have the Elder Wand tattooed on me. I love Harry Potter. No matter what a creator does, it doesn't change the fact if you love something or how you took something and interpreted it for yourself or whatever. And I always tell people this about, and I guess I would say with Harry Potter too, whenever I'm going through some shit and I feel like I need my security blanket, I find myself playing Kingdom Hearts or Final Fantasy X, and I feel like those things are my security blanket. So however you take a piece of media and it's either helped you or guided you or given you a good life lesson, that's how you take it. And whether or not the creator's acting a goddamn fool has nothing to do with it and your experience with it. That being said, there are tons of things I could get into about this, and I wanted to talk about the Johnny Depp issue a long time ago, and I made a video and it sucked, so I didn't post it. Now, let's just stick to, I don't have notes on this, I'm just talking about it because I love Harry Potter, so I feel like I can just go off the cuff with it. But no matter how you feel about J.K. Rowling, the truth is she knows how to put a story together. Now, does she know how to write a movie? Probably not. And I think that's why people are coming so hard at these. And I mean that, and prior to her issues online, they were coming at, can you even write a movie and all this shit. I think that the first two are actually going to tie in and make a lot of sense down the road because she knows how to write a book. So I just think that this is all really going to tie together no matter what people are saying about them. And I don't mind them. The second I heard it was about Newt Scamander and shit, I was like, why? That's weird. But then there's these little nuggets that you'll notice as a Harry Potter fan. If you are a super fan, like I would say me and Big Omari, who's been on my channel, and that was the last time we talked about Harry Potter, when me and him are yelling and arguing about it, and why I think Creature is better than Dobby. Point blank period. Anyway, I'll go on for days. But I didn't mind the first two. I was kind of shocked when they were like, yeah, it's about Newt fucking Scamander. I'm like, why? Why? This guy who wrote a book in the book? Okay, whatever. But I honestly think that the Niffler is going to, well, I mean, the Niffler has already taken a huge part in the movies. If you've watched them, you know that he gets the blood pact from Grindelwald. Yes, I'm going to say Grindelwald. I'm going to throw the V in there because I listen to the books all the time, and that's how it is in my head. I'm not trying to sound cool. I definitely think that beasts or creatures like the Niffler and stuff are going to play a much bigger role than people are giving it credit for, and they're like, why the fuck are they calling it this? Because I thought that way too until I watched the second one a couple of times, and I'm like, okay, if you're a super Harry Potter fan, you'll know that my boy here, Voldemort, was born the year they start this series. J.K. Rowling, like I said, I'm not going to get into everything that's going on with her personally. I'm just going to stick to the Harry Potter world, the Wizarding world. She doesn't put shit in for no reason. You know what I mean? Like, we wouldn't have it in Voldemort's birth year if that wasn't going to somehow come up. That might just be a little Easter egg. But that would also mean, the second they said beasts and all this shit, and the year popped up, I was like, oh shit, the year Voldemort's born. But not only that, that means Hagrid is around, because if you remember, Hagrid and Voldemort go to school together. Does Ron call him a dirty, rotten snitch? There's so many lines in the books that Ron has. I've gone into this about Voldemort, and it's like this with everything. There's so much more detail, there's so much more everything, but Voldemort goes hard. He says some fucked shit. He's way more cold-blooded than in the films, and I get it. I understand why, and I understand that there's a difference between books and movies. But he's a cold-blooded motherfucker, and he says some hardcore shit. Not only was he killing babies or trying to and shit, I mean, that's pretty ruthless, but I'm just saying, he goes hard in the paint in the books. And Ron has some great lines. Somebody tell me, how many fist fights does Ron get into in the books? Muggle dueling, as McGonagall likes to call it, because I always think that's funny. And Ron is always down to throw down. He's always ready to fight. He's like, oh, you want to talk about my family? Let's fight. Oh, it's Malfoy? Let's fight. But yeah, Tom Riddle, Voldemort, snitches Hagrid out. But yeah, the second I saw that year, I was like, oh, Voldemort. But then I was like, oh, eventually that means Hagrid will come around. And we've had World War II depictions in this series. I don't know if we will go that far in years, but that means Hagrid would be old enough to know Dumbledore, factoring in the whole beasts thing. Now, I don't know if he will play into the plot. I think he will, though, and I think that's why Dumbledore says, I would trust Hagrid with my life. It's one of the first things we learn. Side note, one of my favorite scenes from the books, besides when Harry uses an unforgivable curse when somebody spits on McGonagall, because you don't spit on people, like I've said before on here. But when Karkaroff in Goblet of Fire starts shit-talking Dumbledore, and who physically assaults that man, and all he says is to apologize. Fucking Hagrid. So we all think that Hagrid is doing this because Dumbledore kind of took him in like a pseudo-father. But I think that and I hope it's not too over the top. I hope it's just kind of a thing. But I do think Newt Scamander and Hagrid at least deserve some kind of screen time together if they're going to put him in, because that'd be sweet. They have the two biggest beast lovers talk to one another and have Newt tell him, like, yeah, no, I got kicked out of school before. No, I get it. Like, especially if it's around that year when he's getting thrown out of school and he's like, no, it's okay. Didn't he get kicked out? Newt got kicked out too. And he's like, oh no, I love beasts too. And I was different too. That would be cool. I don't know if Voldemort will factor in. And as much as I love him as a villain, just so everybody knows. I do not agree with Voldemort's policies. I just think he's a great villain. He is. He's one of the best villains of all time. But yeah, putting it in that year was either just to be like, haha, wink, wink, or people that were in that time frame are going to factor in. And if you're having a series called Fantastic Beasts, that would be Hagrid. Okay. Secrets of Dumbledore. I want to know what people genuinely think about this, because like I said, we've had so much Dumbledore crammed down our throats. I'm like, Jude Law, I like you as Dumbledore. I think he does a good job. I would love to know more about the Dumbledores. I just don't know what we're going to get into. But I will say this. Now, here's where people differ with me. We all know Dumbledore's gay. We all know that's a thing, and I know that people give it shit because it's not on screen. Okay, here's what I'm saying. I'm not against that, but and this is what I say with a lot of things, if their sexuality does not affect the plot line, why the fuck do we need to see it? I don't give a fuck what you are. If it doesn't factor in, I've said this about Game of Thrones, I'm like, no, there were times where it got gratuitous, and they were just like, here, let's just throw boobs at you. Let's just throw this at you, and hope the audience is happy. If they just shoehorned in Dumbledore kissing Grindelwald, I'd be like, why are you doing this? It wouldn't matter who he was kissing. I would just go, how does this affect the plot? Not hating if you do it, you should do it, because here's what I think, and I'll tell people before you get too upset with me. I don't think Grindelwald's anything. I think Dumbledore was infatuated and loved Grindelwald, and Grindelwald is a sociopath and a manipulator. I've always felt that way. I've always felt like, no, he knew, you're the only one who can square up with me. You're the only one that can take me down, and I'm going to use the fact that I know you got a crush on me for my betterment. Because that's what sociopaths and crazy people and manipulators and controlling people in relationships do. When I say relationship, I mean any type of relationship. Friendship, family, together, whatever it is. That's what manipulating, controlling, crazy people do. I think Grindelwald is for power and power only, and will do whatever it takes to keep Dumbledore off his back, like making blood pacts. Oh, I didn't mean for that to come out that way. It's just funny. But that means making blood pacts. That means anything he can do. So if you think that the one person that could possibly stand in your way has a crush on you, and you are as crazy as he is, well, do you want to know what? I take back the word crazy. I only say the word crazy because, yes, his ideas are fucking wrong. Like I said, he's a liar, he's a manipulator, he's a sociopath, obviously. But I think that Grindelwald, just like Voldemort, even though Voldemort was lying to himself, they think that they're kind of in the right, but they know deep down they're not, probably. Especially when we get to talking about Johnny Depp. Because how ironic will it be if that's the route they take with Grindelwald, and you fired this man over him being in an abusive relationship and blaming him? We'll get into that in a minute, because my Johnny Depp love goes deep, and if I can find one of the photos to put up in this, I will. My friend used to throw a Johnny Depp birthday party every year. We used to celebrate Johnny Depp's birthday every year and drink wine, and there was a cardboard cutout and a full-scale cutout and birthday hats, the whole nine. We got a cake. You stumbled around and you drank wine all day long, and it was Johnny Depp's birthday, June 17th, I believe. No, that's somebody else. Johnny Depp is June... He's half of Nicole's birthday. Nicole's birthday is June 18th. Johnny Depp's is June 9th. Bet. Let's get back to Secrets of Dumbledore. I've read the, like I said, I've read the books so many times I can't even tell you. I've listened to them so many times I can't even tell you. And I just always, there's a scene in the books that isn't in the movies that I really liked, where and I don't know the exact quote, and if you know it, tell me down in the comments, where Harry, after he dies, is talking to Dumbledore in King's Cross Station, and he brings up Grindelwald not wanting Voldemort to get the wand. And Dumbledore's like, yeah, I kind of heard that he changed his ways in Nomengard, which is his the mansion we see him in the series, but it ended up turning into a prison, I believe, right? Or is that no, that's not the school. It turns into a prison later on. But that's his, like, manor, but it turned into a prison, which is kind of ironic, but that's the whole point. But anyway, he's like, yeah, I heard he kind of changed his ways towards the end, and Harry stops Dumbledore and says, I don't think he wanted his friend's grave being fucked with. I don't think he wanted you touched. And Dumbledore sheds a tear. Obviously, he doesn't say fucked, but I'm trying to remember. He says something very poignant about it. And looking back on it, yes, it does make sense that I do think there was a relationship. I'm not denying that. I definitely think there was a relationship between Grindelwald and Dumbledore, and I do think Grindelwald cares about Dumbledore. I just don't think Grindelwald can love anyone. You're picking up what I'm saying here? But he still wasn't as bad as Voldemort was, and was like, yeah, do you want to know what? We were kind of doing the same thing, but you ain't fucking with my friend. How about that? You know where. I love that scene in the movie, and whoever that actor was does a great job of it, even though he's only in it for 30 seconds, and a lot of people forget it's even there, of Voldemort. And I can't remember exactly what is said in the books, because I think Voldemort kills a family, and then goes and talks to Grindelwald while he's locked up. And in the movie, he goes to talk to Grindelwald, and he's like, where is it? Where is it? Where's it? And they're talking about the Elder Wand, and he just says, you know where it's at. It's with him. And he's laughing, because he's like, I know you're scared of him, because I was fucking scared of him, and that's my boy. And it's sad because it was only one-sided, which would also help more to understand Dumbledore and why he feels so much remorse about all the shit that happened with his sister, with his brother, with everything that went down with Grindelwald, with the final duel with him that we'll get to see in these movies. But it makes it that much worse and makes his remorse make way more sense, and why he feels it so deeply, because not only did he genuinely love this man, or still does, but he put that ahead of everything else in his life and allowed it to consume him to the point where he let him get away with trying to commit genocide. So it's like, I cared so much about you, and the whole time you really didn't love me the same way I loved you, and I sacrificed way more than you did. It makes it way sadder, and it makes more sense, in my opinion. Tell me if I'm wrong down in the comments. And tell me what the quotes are and all that other shit, because I'm not going to remember them right now. I'm right about Johnny Depp's birthday, though. He couldn't feel the same way because he doesn't feel that way about anybody. It doesn't matter what his orientation is. And I think Dumbledore being gay and everything also, like I said, adds to the remorse he feels about everything, because it's like, not only did he probably have to hide who he was, and that's sad in itself, and all of that, but he finally finds not only someone who also feels like that, but is just as smart, just as skilled, and just as good as he is at things. And that must have been like the best feeling ever, to be like, wow, I finally have an equal. I finally have somebody I can relate to, not only on an intellectual level, but on a sexual level and a emotional level, or what he thought was an emotional level. So yeah, I think that Grindelwald knew, and he says this, Dumbledore says this to Harry, he says, I think Grindelwald always knew I was a tad bit more skilled than him, but he knew essentially he knew I was better. And when you're the big bad guy, you can have anybody out there that's better than you. But I do think there's a genuine relationship there at first, so that's why Dumbledore wasn't killed in his sleep or something by Grindelwald, because Grindelwald did have the Elder Wand. And like I said, when you factor in, not only was he gay and having to repress that and hide that from the world, probably we don't know how inclusive the magical world was. Maybe they were fine with it, but I'm assuming that they weren't. I'm assuming that's why Dumbledore never loved again, is because after you're hurt so bad like that, how could you? I'm not here to say, like, oh no, nobody was having a relationship. I totally think there was, and I totally think that they will show it on tape. I think that they will, and I think that they should if they want to get their point across correctly. Now, I don't know, I could be totally wrong. That's just the way I always took it. I was like, oh my god, poor Dumbledore. Like, poor fucking Dumbledore. Like, what? This is sad. Maybe their differences in coming at the Wizarding World and how to run it is exactly what broke them up. Maybe it has nothing to do with that. Maybe Grindelwald did love him the same way, but I don't believe that. I don't think that you can do the things that Grindelwald has done and be capable of loving somebody. Like, you can't do that. And especially if you want to get into Ariana dying, his sister. If you want to talk about Dumbledore and his sister and his brother and her dying and how nobody knows what blow killed her, I think that Grindelwald knows. And I think it was either him, and he lived with that forever, and he never told Dumbledore, or he knows it was Dumbledore that killed her. And he kept that to himself because he didn't want to break him down anymore. But yeah, I hope that I'm conveying this correctly, because I don't want it to come off like I'm saying, oh no, there was no gayness happening, because I totally think there was gayness going on, and that's totally cool. Did you ever really love him? No. Someone loves you, they don't attack you, they don't assault you. I'm going to give a quick rundown of the Dumbledore family real quick for you guys. Speed through. So in case you haven't read the books in a while, or watched anything or whatever, gone on Pottermore with all their fucking added on bullshit that just convolutes everything. Okay, the Dumbledores. Their mom died abruptly with the sister. Nobody really knows how, but they're assuming it's from her magic bursting out the same way during the duel. Now, maybe that's because she's an Obscurus, which I don't think that is the case, but their father is in the Azkaban for life. And correct me if I'm wrong, he either killed or seriously fucked up 3 Muggle boys to the point where they were never the same again, because they came upon Ariana, Dumbledore, their younger sister, doing magic, and they were like, do some more, yada, yada, yada. And something so bad happened to her by those boys that their dad went and did that, to the point where he ended up in prison in Azkaban for life. So obviously it had to be something very bad. We are never given the age Ariana was when that happened. But if she was old enough, and it was how I took it as a sexual assault, she could possibly be Credence's mother. But outside of that, if she's not, I still think that something along those lines happened to her, and that's why their dad went so hard on these Muggle boys. Anyway, they're going at it. Aberforth, my favorite Dumbledore personally, is like, fuck that noise. He's the reason that Albus Dumbledore's nose is crooked, is because he fucking laid him the fuck out at Ariana's funeral right at the casket and socked him in the face. Aberforth, just like Ron, is ready to throw down at all times. I love a character who is this big tough guy. Like, I love Hagrid, I love Aberforth, who's a big tough guy, but in the center is a big sweetie, and that's how he was with his family. He was like, fucking go hunt your goddamn hollows, go do whatever the fuck you want, I'll stay here with my sister and take care of her. And when he starts to talk about feeding the goats with her and everything, it's heartbreaking, because you're watching this, or hearing, or reading this tough guy break down talking about losing a sister, and blaming his brother and his brother's boyfriend for fucking doing that shit, which he rightfully should. Don't hold on to resentment. What do they say in fucking American History X? Hate is baggage? After she was attacked like that, though, her magic, she was not a squib, and Aunt Muriel, the Weasley's aunt, is like talking mad shit about how, the Dumbledores would have been ashamed to say they had a squib, which is somebody who's born into a magical family but can't perform magic, like Filch. But she wasn't a squib. Whatever happened to her with those boys traumatized her so much that it like stunted it and messed it up, and it would come out in bursts, and that's what killed their mom. So after the mom abruptly died, Albus had to come home from running around with Grindelwald and take care of the family as the eldest son. And Grindelwald shows up. They have their duel. Ariana comes out, doesn't like it, and her magic bursts out of her, I think, and stops the duel, but she dies. Now, Dumbledore blames himself and thinks he hit her with a killing blow. Grindelwald dips out, and I think that he knows who did the killing blow, or he knows that Ariana had a son, or he knows that Ariana did it to herself, and it wasn't anybody. But still, if you love someone that much, the way Dumbledore loved Grindelwald, you would at least tell them, like, hey, it wasn't you, do not feel remorse for that, it wasn't your fault. But he doesn't do that, does he? So yeah, after Ariana's passing and Aberforth laying Albus out at the casket at the funeral and breaking his nose, that's when Dumbledore fully went into working at Hogwarts, like, fully dedicated himself to that. And that's when he started saying, no, I knew I couldn't accept power, because power was my weakness. It was the one thing that I would abuse. And he knew that about himself. So all I'm trying to get to here is that I think it was more of a manipulative, abusive, emotionally abusive relationship that Dumbledore was in with Grindelwald, and that Grindelwald still respected and did care to some extent. Like I said, I've been through an abusive relationship. I know he cared about me. I know he loved me in his own way. It wasn't always bad, but there's something wrong with people that can do that, and they don't know how to really love. But I do love to play devil's advocate and say, okay, yeah, maybe their ideals just changed, and Dumbledore realized maybe they were in a full-blown relationship, and Grindelwald did love him, but from everything I see and everything I've gone through, I don't take it that way, because I'm like, if you really loved him, would you be doing X, Y, and Z? No. And like I said, it just makes Dumbledore's everything that much more tragic. Him wanting to be alone the rest of his life. Why would he ever trust anybody ever again? If there was true love between the both of them, which Grindelwald's actions show there wasn't, that he was, same thing with the Blood Pact. He did that while they were in a relationship, while they trusted each other, knowing you're better than me. I know that I'm really here for one thing and not what you think it is, so I'm gonna make this blood pact with you so you can't come for me when I start my shit up. Dumbledore went working at Hogwarts hardcore. He was a teacher there. Grindelwald's gathering followers, getting hype around World War I, as we know from the movies and knew from the books. And I don't know why people are bitching about this. It's always been connected to World War I and World War II. They don't give you dates like that on the back of a chocolate frog card unless they are tying it into World War II. Set up since the fucking first book. So when these bigger channels are like, oh yeah, I don't want to watch this Nazi comparison. There's been a Nazi comparison to Grindelwald and what he was trying to do during World War II since Sorcerer's Stone or Philosopher's Stone, whatever you guys call it. You were trying to commit genocide, you were trying to take over, yada yada yada. And like I said, you don't drop it. The same thing like with Voldemort's birth year. You don't drop a number like that unless it means something, and that's exactly what Grindelwald was doing. He's saying that there was this, all of a sudden there's these Nazi, imagery and similarities. No, that's been going on since book 1. And if you didn't pick up on that, I'm sorry that you don't know your history. Especially about World War II. So, rest in peace, Grandpa, I love you. He was a World War II vet. But yeah, so, I think Grindelwald's a manipulator. We got a million Dumbledores running around, so which secrets of which Dumbledore are we going to get? I don't know if Credence is even really a person, if that makes sense. I don't know, it's weird. But like I said, maybe Ariana could have had a kid, maybe she couldn't have. But yeah, Secrets of Dumbledore, things that I would be excited to see and if they're going to show us. I do not think we're going to see the duel between Grindelwald and Dumbledore until the last movie. I don't. I would love to see Newt and Hagrid have an interaction. Whether or not Hagrid plays an integral part in the plot, I would not mind if he didn't, but I would just love to see these two characters connect on a beast level and both getting thrown out of school. I would love to see, if Voldemort is around, I don't want to see him too much. Maybe a little like, oh, there's Tom. And maybe Dumbledore being like, yeah, I'm watching you, motherfucker, but that's it. I don't want a ton of that. And I know the whole, like, Lestrange, this, that, prophecies, all this shit is all wacky, and why is Nagini there? And everybody's been saying this, too, on these big channels about movies. Oh, Nagini, being this innocent girl, it takes away from Neville's kill. I think that we are going to find out exactly why it doesn't in the coming up movies. Because I think that Nagini is gonna... something's gonna happen. And like I said, I think a lot of the things in these first two movies that didn't get great reviews and didn't get great things and things didn't connect and McGonagall isn't supposed to be there, why wouldn't McGonagall have a time turner? Why wouldn't McGonagall be... That's Dumbledore's ride or fucking die. Like, maybe when he met her, he went, can you head back in time? Because I'm going to need your help back then. And that's what I mean. Like, this is not me... This is just me rambling at this point, but I want to know what other people think. I don't know which Dumbledore they're talking about. I don't know what we're going to see. I don't know if we're going to get him in Grindelwald, but I just want to get my thoughts about Grindelwald out there because, like I said, maybe from what I went through personally, that's how I saw the character. How do you see the character? But I see him as a manipulator who took advantage of somebody and their vulnerability. And, yeah, you don't manipulate, hurt, assault, or give ultimatums to people you love. I hope it's all about Aberforth. He's my favorite Dumbledore. They got this Phoenix showing up. I mean, is that going to be Fawkes? Is it going to flip sides and come to... Dumbledore, our Dumbledore, Albus Dumbledore, I don't know. I don't think Ariana had a kid. I really don't. I also don't think that either Credence is like, I don't want to say Horcrux, because it's not a Horcrux. But he might be something connected to Dumbledore and his grief and his remorse for what he thinks that he did. He thinks he killed his sister. So yeah, top things I want to see out of this movie. Or series as a whole, if I don't get in the next movie. Hagrid and Newt having an exchange. Maybe a tiny Voldemort cameo. What really, how true were Grindelwald's emotional feelings towards Albus Dumbledore? And what the fuck is McGonagall doing there? Like I even thought the same thing, but it's like, I do believe there's a reason. I think that he met her later on and was like, and that also makes sense if you read the Pottermore shit, excuse me, as to why she would have this relationship and be married before. Maybe she had to hide in Hogsmeade while the other her was teaching for a while until those times met up. If you pick up what I'm laying down. I'm tired, I'm trying to make this work. Yeah, if you don't read the Pottermore shit, don't worry about it. But yeah, McGonagall was married before. She was living in Hogsmeade, and then she went fully back to being a teacher. And it's like, okay, well, did that happen while the other you was still teaching at the school and you were hiding out in Hogsmeade? I think that J.K. Rowling knows how to put everything together at the end, just like with the Harry Potter series. So I think a lot of the stuff is going to pay off. Faith in this is what I'm saying. I have faith in the series. I just need, once we get towards the ending, tying things up. Because this could span, because Dumbledore and Grindelwald don't have their, like I said, they don't have their duel until the 40s, and we were in the 20s. And so, yeah, we got a while to go before we get there. So a lot can happen, and a lot can tie up all these things that people are asking. Now, like I said, we celebrate Johnny Depp's birthday every year. We do the whole 9 yards. We love Johnny Depp. The second I saw those videos come out of him and Amber Heard, I immediately thought of myself and was like, no, this is toxic from both ends. But she is the aggressor. She is the aggressor, and what I don't like is men not getting the same treatment as if a woman comes out and says, I'm being abused, just like what happened with Amber Heard, and now it's all coming out that everybody knew this shit. He's losing jobs over it. I understand why he wouldn't want to come back to the project, but I think he should have and said, fuck all you motherfuckers, watch me tear this roll up, and it's fucked up. Here's my PSA on that shit. From day one, I was like, no. This has been bad back and forth, but she is the one chucking shit. She is the one instigating it and then pulling out her phone and going, look at what he's doing. Look at what he's doing. That's what manipulative ass bitches do that are just as bad as men who do it to women. And men deserve the same protection that women do. They shouldn't be called weak. They shouldn't be called wrong. Oh, what? You can't put up with it. Oh, step up to the plate. Just deal with it. No. They can be in abusive relationships too. And I'm not saying I know everything that went on. I wasn't there. All right, I wanted to talk about this better, but it's more of just me, like, bullshitting about Dumbledores and stuff, Phoenixes, whatever the fuck. Slytherin all day, every day, on the block by myself. I don't give a fuck. But yeah, what do you think about the Fantastic Beasts series? What do you think about Johnny Depp's situation? Because I think it's bullshit, Warner Brothers and J.K. Rowling. You guys should have stepped to that man's defense. That's what you should have fucking done. And I'm glad that Amber Heard was kicked off of Aquaman. I'm glad she got replaced with Emilia Clarke, who's up. So yeah, I'm happy with Motor City Nerds. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And we are still doing the giveaway for the Loki horns. Oof, and the glow-in-the-dark stand. at 300 subs, and all you have to do is subscribe to the channel and leave a comment on a video. So thank you. I'm sorry if I just rambled on, but like I said, I've been very excited for the series because I do think that the next 3 are really going to tie into the last 2, which weren't perfect movies, I know, but I think a lot is going to get explained in these next 3, and I'm excited about it. So, just, I have faith in it, is what I'm saying. Maybe I won't after this next movie, but yeah, I just wanted to ramble about it for a minute, talk about Dumbledore for a minute.